Now it says again live on Facebook.
Yes, and you tagged us in the post. So
yeah, it's on my feed.
Yes. Cool, I can see everybody.
Are we allowed to curse? Holy shit! Oh my God.
Wonderful. Okay, I'm gonna make it a watch party.
Oh, there you go. Do that. That's perfect. That's exactly what
yeah.
you
Start watch party. Perfect. Yay!
So the key to doing these things is that you need a tech lead for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ladies, make sure the volume. I think I can hear someone's phone. No.
Yeah, because it's us. I'll turn off the volume on that phone.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So, well, yay. Okay. So I don't see. Sarah looks like she may have fallen off.
I'm just no, I'm here. I'm just putting on the watch party.
Yay! We can do this. Thanks, guys.
There we go.
Teamwork is all about. All right. Okay. I won't waste anybody's time.
Let's start serious again.
Let's
from the beginning.
From the top. So thanks ladies for sticking with me for 27 minutes of technical difficulties. Welcome everyone if you're joining this live on my wall right now. I think everybody else is sharing it. We wanted to create a space and a place for women to have conversations, lead conversations around tango and dance and their perspectives and their experiences inside tango. And this first series is with five other women who are tango professionals who are been dancing for at least a decade, sometimes two. And we thought this is a great place to start because as teachers, as dancers, the thing that you start to realize is that when you kind of commit to learning, you learn a lot about not just the dance, but who you are. It becomes a sort of spiritual growth process. And most of these women, or all of these women, excuse me, have sort of felt that same approach around dance, is that it was really teaching them something about themselves. And I wanted to bring that kind of discussion to light because I find it so incredibly interesting to talk to people about why they started and why they keep dancing. Because the funny thing is around dancing is that it becomes more difficult, the longer you stick with it. So it becomes much more of a process to go inward than it is when you just do it kind of casually. So, and also teaching is another huge growth curve as well. These are the things that I've learned, and I'm sure you guys have found this as well. So the first thing I'm going to do is kind of go around and have everyone quickly introduce themselves and give a little tidbit inside of their tango journey, and then we'll kind of go deeper. So we'll start with Asia. So please.
Thank you, Chrissy. Thank you. And thank you for bringing women together. I agree with you that it's a powerful thing when women come together in support of each other. And so, yeah, my name's Asia Fenn. I live in Washington, D.C., but I'm from England. I discovered tango 20 years ago and was, obsessed from day one. And I've dedicated myself to the art of teaching it for, it's over 10 years. I'm not exactly sure, maybe 12, 13, 14, not sure. And it's definitely been a journey. It's definitely been, like you said, Chrissy, it is a spiritual, everything can be spiritual growth, right? And
we lost your volume. I think you touched your headphones. No.
Sound.
How about
there we go?
Yeah, now I can.
Okay. Yeah, just I'm sure we'll all speak more about that in a minute. We're just introducing ourselves, but yes, it's definitely been a journey of learning and growth for me. So thank you for having me here.
Awesome. Thank you. Olga, please introduce
yourself. Hi, everyone. Yes, I'm Olga. I'm Russian, but I live in London, and I've been dedicating my time and my efforts to developing tango and trying to put efforts into developing tango community in London. I've discovered tango about oh gosh, I don't know. It's like, it's always a bunch of dates really. So first time maybe 14 years ago, then I quit, then I restarted 12, then again years ago, then I fully started dedicating my whole free time about 10 years ago, and then I never stopped. But this idea of dancing has always been present in my life since I was maybe 2 years old, when I just decided that I want to be a ballet ballerina, but they didn't take me into ballet school because I was too tall. So I had a big detour for a couple of decades of my life when I just went to professional athletics. Then I was an architect for many years, and eventually I came back to my dreams. So you can see that once you know there's something that you discover that touches you, you will come back to it, even if you go through many different ways and pass around. You should listen to where you want to be, and you go there because it's worth it. Oh, Christina, you are silent.
Sorry about that. Mila, let's have you kind of chime in.
Yes, hello. Mila, I'm from Moscow, but 6 years ago, when my son was born, I moved to south of Italy. So now I live here. I've been dancing tango for 20 years and teaching full-time for 17 years. I always knew from when I was a little girl that I wanted to be a dancer. And so it happened that I gave 5 years to my parents to get a university degree as a sacrifice. But then the moment I graduated, this was the same day I went to tango, and that was it. Everything else gone and another life started. But I never, for example, dreamt of being a teacher. But so it happens that I enjoy it the same, or sometimes even more than dancing. So it was a pleasant surprise. And we'll talk about quarantine times later, right? Okay.
Oh yes, yeah. We'll talk about that. I want to hear about everyone's sort of perspective on that.
Yeah.
Awesome, thank you. Sarah.
Hi, everybody. I'm Sarah Gurdan. I'm originally from Croatia, but I kind of lived all over the world. I started dancing tango in Los Angeles in 1996. I know it's a really, really, really long time ago. Then I was dancing in Paris, and I was dancing in London, and I moved to New York for grad school in law. I graduated Columbia Law School. So I spent about 4 years working as a lawyer. While I was in school, I was already teaching with my partner, Ivan. And as soon as I could with my loans, I quit being a lawyer, because building airports, as exciting as it was, just wasn't really my thing. And then I did a lot of gyrotonics, which kind of changed my brain. And I realized that I can't do without movement, and I can't do without connection, and I needed to move and connect, and tango did all of that for me. So that's why I'm still here.
Awesome, thank you. And Marina, I'd love to hear from you.
Okay, so hello everybody. I'm still watching Facebook here, that's why I turn my head like on the side. My name is Marina. I live in Buenos Aires. I've been dancing for almost 20 years right now. I started dancing in Rosario, then I moved here. I'm a music therapist, actually, that's the main profession. And then for the last 10 years or 12, so I got introduced to the yoga world by one of my teachers, and I've been really passionate about that too. So I'm a yoga instructor. I've been studying Hatha, Ashtanga, and many other styles. So right now I'm doing a kind of mix of all of that, still teaching for tango people, but doing many other things also related to more like self-development and growth and spiritual things, kind of. And I'm really happy to be here. Thank you for.
Awesome, thank you. So I want to kind of kick this off with like our sort of present situation that you guys are most affected by, even more than me, because I teach tango, but I don't teach it as my sole source of income. And so I have my reaction to what's going on is definitely going to be different than your reactions. So, you know, after the first kind of holy shit moment of like, this is kind of a disaster for tango. Something in this is just, it broke like something in tango. I think after kind of holding that space and other people holding that space for themselves of like, could be really catastrophic for my income, or really catastrophic for what I'm envisioning in the future. I think something else started to take place. I noticed a lot of people thriving or taking a technological leap forward or being really creative in their approach to how they're connecting with people. And I guess that saying, you know, necessity breeds invention. I feel a lot of people took this as a really unique opportunity. One, to maybe think about how they're presenting themselves differently inside of tango. Two, that it maybe promoted a space for them to really relax and maybe take space, like forced space. It kind of forced their hand to do that, but a lot of people really welcomed it. And then I think three was like kind of pushing people into that space of, wow, this is making me see that I really need to, I should do that long-term project that I wanted to do. I have this big dream. Like Sarah, I'm kind of thinking of you. You're like, all right, this is really propelling me into getting that thing, that big pipe dream that I've been thinking about. It's like, now is the time. It's like creating this really unique opportunity. And I just wanted to hear from all of you how you felt about this, and then what was that sort of turning point for you. I've watched, connected with most of you, or at least watched some of your videos around what I think you're doing, but I want to hear it from you around what your feelings were, and how, if you're thriving, if you feel like this has really turned into a significant opportunity. So Asia, how about you just jump? And if anybody really feels compelled to talk, just raise your hand, but I'll just jump in and grab people. Asia, if you want to start.
Sure, I can speak to that, Chrissy. Yeah, so for me, like I mentioned, you know, before we went live, one of the sort of, well, first of all, yes, it was a little terrifying and disempowering at first, because tango is my income, and that was suddenly, you know, gone, essentially. I have been teaching with some colleagues of mine a weekly, you know, drills class online, which has, you know, been surprisingly well attended, actually. And it's been interesting, and it's been fun to try to give dimension to stuff on a screen, you know, find creative ways to do that. But the thing I want to speak to is just how nice it's been for me to give my body a rest, because my life is so physical. You know, training, I'm 42, and so to try and stay like in really great tango shape with my dance partner requires, you know, training 3 days a week, doing Pilates to kind of on the off days to try to prevent injury and stay just well conditioned. And then riding my bike to and from my son's school twice a day with him on the back of it. So it's been, you know, my life is normally very, very physical. And then of course, private lessons really can take their toll physically. And so for me personally, this has been a chance for my body to rest and for old injuries to heal, and to just allow myself to soften a little bit physically, you know, just to soften and be home and spend more time with my son. And my partner also lost his income to COVID, but just recently got some contract work. So fortunately, I do have, you know, his financial support. But yeah, so like Mila was saying, it's been positive for me in some ways in the rest sense, but feeling a little out of touch with it all, wondering how I'm going to get back into it. And
yeah, I resonate with that. I feel that I also, since it started, I just canceled my classes and then just like basically never put my tango shoes on again. And I don't know why that was my reaction. And thinking about going back into it, it's a strange sensation. I felt like I've kind of disconnected. And maybe that's just exactly what I needed. I'm just not trying to make myself guilty about it.
Mm.
Mila, what do you think? Because when I see you, Mila, like I see you taking like a really concerted action to like keep tango going for you and also keep tango going for other people. Like you're really trying to, I think, inspire people to stay connected to this, and you offer a lot of free classes online, and you also offer, I think you also have a lot of students that you work with personally. But what's been your kind of approach? You seem to really like just jump in.
Well, first it was terrifying, of course, I can admit, like when all the plans fell through and the spring was going to be like full of exciting things for me. Besides marathons, there was like Cyrus Festival, there was work with Rodrigo there was like, another thing, Russia, everything. So when I realized it's not happening, first I was like, oh shit, what am I gonna do? How I'm gonna leave? I have an apartment to rent, I have my son, I have all the expenses. And all my work has been traveling and teaching, because I teach very little in the place where I live. But then I think it's like a recent approach in my life in general. When I have some shit, I'm really trying to make lemonade, because I see that it's like the only way that is constructive. Otherwise I will just like, crawl and die in my bed. Yeah, but I can't, there is a son to grow. So somehow, I don't know if I should be thankful to people or proud of myself for everything, or like just lucky. I see that these 2 months have been more positive than negative for me. I've really been thriving. And the things that I had in my tango career as limitations, me, for example, not being able to travel as much as some of my colleagues, me not having a partner, some things that were limitations now turned into advantages somehow, because I'm used to doing things alone. I'm used to dance alone in my home. Plus, it's such a relief now to not have all this, like, where else I have to go, like I have to come back, I have to run to the airport and miss my flight, miss this. So there is a marathon where I cannot go and I so much want to. It's like, oh, nobody's going anywhere. So I can like happily stay at home and not be jealous of anything.
That's so true. Like this, I think what happens around tango, I think all of us feel this, is the sense of FOMO, that there's like every weekend, there's like 3 things that are to choose from, especially when you're in Europe. And like, you just feel like you're on the hamster wheel of like, God, I want to go to that.
There's a lot of pressure in tango as well in the career. Like, oh, they're doing this and now I felt it was a time where I can finally forget about everybody who is doing what, and I could be myself and give what I could give myself from what I have.
Yeah.
So I did not feel limited. I didn't feel jealous. I didn't feel like, oh, I'm so poor me. I don't have a partner. I don't have a freedom or this or that. I live in Italy where I cannot really teach much, and I want to be there and here. So finally, I felt the power of be whoever I want to be, and say whatever I want to say, and do whatever I can do. And this was so liberating, and so like, I felt so strong in these 2 months. I don't know, because I could speak out, I could, because I saw that people were looking for it. They were at home, they had their Facebook as a connection to the world. So suddenly my voice became very strong, so I could say and people would hear.
Yeah.
And this was really great thing for me. So I'm really grateful for this time.
Oh, good.
Strangely. And also grateful for people in tango who who didn't just say, oh, we cannot dance, so let us, cook and I don't know, like watch Netflix and forget it. People really put a lot of effort into staying in tango, into taking classes. There were so many people doing technical classes now with me, and I'm impressed by their motivation and drive. They haven't been dancing for like so many already, like 3 months, and we don't know when it will be possible again, normal, like in a normal way. But they don't stop, they don't despair, even though it's not a work for them, it's not like, a goal of their life, but they still put all this time and effort and money into learning, into self-improvement. So
Right.
I've been positively surprised and amazed.
Yeah, I think that and Marina, I would love to hear. Marina, you and I were talking about this kind of hamster wheel approach to feeling like the social pressure of constantly being either relevant or constantly feeling like there's something crucial that you're missing out on, the amazing party that you're not attending. I feel that way.
Yes.
And Marina, I would love for you to sort of speak to that, because you were saying that you really realized a lot of the social engagements that you're doing inside of Tango didn't like serve you, and you were for you being more selective has been the best approach. I mean, that was before COVID, but I mean, help me understand what you're.
That's actually how I feel. This for me, this feels like one more period on top of a whole process of detox for myself of many things that I just got used, because somehow it's like getting out of college and saying like, okay, this is what you should do, right? Like you should be here, you should be there, you should be at this and this milonga, you should talk to these people, you should. And I've been cleaning all those shoes for a long time, and for me this feels I also feel like Mila, like I'm really positive about changes in general, first of all, because I think to accept it, it's the very first step to really take advantage of it in many sense, right? But for me, this feels like one more step on something that was going on for me, to myself, to my own process, let's say. Of course, knowing that for a lot of people, there's been really, really hard times, and I try to help, like all I can do from here, I try to do it. But I feel really grateful at this time, because I had the same feeling as Mila was saying. Like, I realized that many things that I already had the feeling inside of me that was not working, now I had the chance to say like, okay, yes, many other people is also saying that it's not working, right? At some point, I think one of the best things for this about this moment, it's like it helped us to turn to watch inside, right? And stop somehow to complain that the event was not right, the milonga was not good, like I don't like the energy of that thing, and just realize that maybe you don't belong to that place, and it's fine. There is still many good things that you can do from your living room right now. For many other people, you have something special to give, you have something different to say. Many other people will connect with that, many other people will not, and it is also fine. So I feel this like a huge detox process for many things. For me, it's the time to be more honest with many things, like including what you want to give, what are the type of lessons that you want to really to give, what is your I don't know if that's a word in English, differential, what makes you different, what is a special thing that you can give that no one else is going to be able to do it in that way, right? And for example, like be really honest with, well, maybe I didn't feel that comfortable in that social place where we will just used to go, right? What are the real things that I miss? What are the real things that I miss about dancing, right? That is not maybe the social thing, like I miss to have some people, and honestly, like 2 or 3 of them, not more than that. Of course, I really enjoy to dance with many of them, but the people I miss them not because they dance. I miss them because there's something I can share with them through the dance. Mm-hmm. And maybe now I have the chance to realize about that and get connected with them for, of course, online, but because something else or for other reasons, like, okay, let's chat, you know. Yeah. So that's how I feel. I feel that this is a huge detox. I'm really grateful for that. Yeah. And of course, I know that many people, it's really suffering this time. But I truly believe that we can do anything we want. Like we can build, create anything we want. So this is a huge chance just to reorganize everything and just make it happen again.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
That's beautiful. Speaking of building and creating, Sarah, I feel like this kind of like through your hand, and when you like, okay, here's it, like really grasping an opportunity, and I'm not sure if you would have taken it with this, like cannonballing into your awesome opportunity of having a space that's been presented to you, and like the timing of that space, and like being kind of forced to sort of rethink how your business model.
Yeah, I mean, it's
really
kind of
exciting. I would love to hear like how, what you're feeling around it.
Honestly, it's really interesting. I mean, I'm sort of an introverted extrovert. I find social interaction on a large scale rather painful, and traveling a lot and having to manage energy of that many people, because most of the festivals we work in are quite large, for me is exhilarating, but at the same time it's very difficult. And usually when we come home from a tour, both Ivan and I, we need like a month of detox. Just it's difficult for us. That's one thing. Second thing is and like Marina said, it is really a question of like there are people that I really love in tango, and I love meeting them in the places that I meet them. And that's really what I miss about that personal interaction. On the other hand, Ivan and I, we're sort of an acquired taste. I think we are really, yeah, it's true. We're not like massive teachers. We sort of fall into a category for people who are really, meticulous about their technique. We teach mostly professionals. We teach a lot of people who want to compete or who want to be performers. So performing is a big part of our work. So I think we social dance less, and we work on our own dance and on couples a lot more. So for us, at least for me, it's been very difficult to start any sort of online class. Ivan is doing a technique class for men, but I haven't had sort of the inspiration to do anything. I think I was really blindsided by this whole thing. I really didn't think that it would be this that it's turned into.
Yeah.
And so what we've always wanted, and I calculated it, that I would need 14 million euros to start a fixed dance company. And I've been kind of working towards that project, trying to see if I can fund a dance company of tango that is like a ballet company, where you have 4 or 5 couples, they all stay in one place, they actually study and work and train and don't like drink beer all night or Fernet or whatever. Like do something really serious. And it was just unsurmountable. And then all of a sudden, and I was like, oh, in the long term, and all of a sudden this opportunity presented itself. And I'm like, my God, there's a house, it has 4 bedrooms. There's a barn. It's full of crap, but the crap can be moved. The barn can be made into a dance studio.
And you have time.
And now I have time. And it was just literally all of my energy that was going into dancing and practicing and all of this. I just feel like it's been refocused to this new project. And I find it difficult to concentrate on anything else. I find it difficult to train or practice or even do gyro. I'm literally like a pit bull. I'm just like looking at that space and I'm imagining it. And now we're going to ask for funds from the European Union, because we'll probably need around 50 or 60,000 euros to really make the project work. But I see a different possibility for a new future that will be in some ways bigger than what there was before, because we will have a bigger opportunity to help people in a more holistic way, where we can house them and feed them and train them and give them that extra push so that they feel like they can do whatever it is that they set out to do.
Right. And like you said, this space to breathe, the space to think seems like it was possible for that dream to exist now, because if you're on the go, you're not really planning for that sort of bigger future. You're planning for like the year or like.
It was really painful, because we literally had March, April, end of May, mid-June completely booked. And then we had people coming to us in Croatia to train. And then September, October, November, and half of December were completely booked, like every weekend. So losing that planned thing kind of put me in a black hole, and there was just no feelings. I mean, I was like a piece of wood. You could just, if you stuck me in a fire, it would just spark up. I mean, I was like dry. I mean, it was terrible. It was a terrible place for me. And then this idea just came through, and it was just like, I gotta run with it, because that's what there is.
It's amazing. It's amazing when either space is forced upon us or taken, what comes out. And Olga, I love seeing you online, being so focused on your wellness. I mean, you're making everybody look bad, but but like, I really, it is inspiring. I don't know your background on if you are teaching other things besides tango, but you know, this animal flow stuff that you're doing, it's like, I see you sort of really focusing in on your body and your strength. And I love that. I love to see, you know, given that maybe you're not able to teach one-on-one anymore or in groups, that you're offering this as your service, like doing all this stuff live, showing people your practice is a way to sort of maybe keep you accountable and like have other people sort of recognize what you're doing. So I'd love for you to sort of speak to your experience.
It's my life has always been revolving around movement and the aesthetics of movement. So everything around movement for me, and the human body and the connection of human emotion, human body, and basically everything within ourselves, for me, has always been the most fascinating thing. I'm not a psychologist, but I've done some psychology courses as well, just because it interests me. And the connections, neurological connections, the body to the mind and the emotion, they are the most fascinating things for me. So I've always been investing into this all my life. And when this whole thing happened, I was at first, same as Sarah, I was like, okay, I'm in a black hole. What do? I cannot teach. I did basically put away my tango shoes for maybe more than a month, like 1.5 months. And I was like, okay, I can't do anything. So I kind of thought, okay, well, this is going to last a while. So I decided for myself that tango will return maybe next year. So I have to cover this period, and I have to not go crazy. And also I'm not dependent on tango income. So because of my previous job and my life circumstances, I'm not fully dependent on tango income. So it was like, okay, I need to take this opportunity and do things that I really believe in, that I can later on. So basically now I'm investing everything I have, all my time and all my financial, all my money, into studying the deeper connections between the body and the mind and the emotion. And the idea is that later on, once this is all over, I can pass it on. So I'm not actively teaching at the moment. I do a few private classes, but I decided against the group classes, because I thought that in group, my strength has always been in much more like one-on-one, because I can feel the people, like I sense them, and I can connect to them, because I know I've studied all these connections. And I decided, okay, except a few private classes with a few students who are interested in this crazy deep way of working, I'm not going to dedicate any time to big tango teaching. And instead I'm going to go inside. About a year ago, maybe, I started realizing that tango is not just about, okay, there's movement, there's music, there's the connection to our partner, but it's at least just as much about our connection to ourselves. And the more I studied this perspective, and the more I studied technique, like the technique, I've been training different things very deeply. And like the more I train this, and the more I realize it's actually about me releasing myself, me allowing myself to feel this, me allowing myself to do this, and just experiencing this inside me. So I thought, okay, I'm going to have to invest this time into really building up this connection. And then hopefully later on, once I studied, once I know what it is, I can pass it on. So it became a really big, it's always been a dream to study this. So I've been training to be a Pilates teacher. Unfortunately, now I have to put it on hold. I've been doing, I've been a tennis player, semi-professional for half my life. And
Me too.
Now I'm doing this. Really?
Yeah. Until I was 18, I was playing very seriously.
Wow. Yeah. Well, see, it's like it's everything is about, for me, tango is also a connection with our bodies. I like the athletic side of it, the body side of it. It's fascinating because our body is deeply, it's part of our mind, and body is basically one thing. So if we develop our body, we will probably change something in our mind, and that will affect how we dance with other people. So everything I'm doing right now, I decided I'm just gonna full on take 4 or 5 hours, between 2 and 5 hours every day into studying this deeply. So I do a bit of tango training, and that's why I posted, because I want people to see that, it doesn't come from nothing. I'm not a ballerina. I've never done gymnastics. It's just something that I want people to really see, that yes, you can come from an office job where I was like sitting like this, and to come and become something more open and more accessible and more, I don't know, more able. That's the reason why I'm posting all of this. I just want people to get inspired to search inside them as well. And the fascinating thing, and I'm really thankful for this, that people respond to this. So I get a lot of messages, usually it's in private messages, by people saying, thank you for posting this. You might not be teaching directly, but you're showing that what you are doing, which inspires me to put on my shoes or to, I don't know, do a couple of push-ups. So whatever it is, it makes me happy.
You highlight something that I think is like the critical idea of like when you start investing in tango, is that it becomes this personal investment. It's not just, you think you're starting tango to learn a dance, and then you're like, oh no, this is like the journey into myself. Like and that's why I think for a lot of people, tango is very confronting. Well, tango is meant to be confronting. And this is why I think a lot of people don't survive in tango, because at some point they're going to come up against a limiting belief of themselves, or their personal struggle, like something that their insecurity is going to come up. All of this is going to bubble up to the surface when you're learning how to use your body, when you're learning how to interact with somebody else. Like this is what it's sort of designed to do. And this is why I think a lot of people are like, I can't do this. The investment is too great. And for other people like us, we're like, oh my God, this investment is great, and I have to do it, even though there are some moments where I just hate it. I hate what it's bringing up in me. I hate seeing what is shown to me. And I want to, like, I'm curious around, and we can kind of just kind of free flow. I don't want to pick and choose, but whoever feels kind of called to speak about that, around maybe some of the harder things that they've sort of had to confront about themselves, or confront around learning, or confront around teaching. I would love to hear your point of view. Yeah, go ahead, Aisha.
Yeah, that's a really powerful question, Chrissy. Thank you. I'd love to speak to that. I think that one of the things that tango, and this is something I've observed in my own journey, learning as a student myself, and also just observing hundreds of people learn tango and go through that process and journey, is that tango is very good at highlighting aspects of ourselves that are underdeveloped. So for me personally, I slipped very naturally into the following role. I would say I'm probably quite a natural follower, in the sense that it feels very natural for me to sort of relax into a trust and a support of another person's vision. And so that was, kind of like really felt like home for me. That's not to say the following experience hasn't had its challenges, but where aspects of myself that were underdeveloped really showed up was when I started to dive into the leading role. This became necessary for me to do when I moved away from Buenos Aires and found myself with not as many options in the way of dance partners. And I wanted to make sure I was still growing. I was still in that sort of phase of my tango life where I had that desperate hunger to keep growing and learning. And so I decided to really go deep into the leading role. I actually only led for 2 years didn't even put my high heels on or follow for 2 years. Because I really wanted to understand the role experientially and not just academically, because I wanted to be able to serve my students wanting to specialize in that role as best I possibly could. And you know, I discovered that certain qualities of leadership or directorship were really sort of underdeveloped and sort of expressed in myself, like qualities of decisiveness, assertiveness, and just being the one to kind of hold space, really. And so for me, you know, that was an opportunity to move into that discomfort, actually, rather than move away from it, as you were describing many people do, Chrissy. I decided to fully move into it and be with the energy of that discomfort for a long time until it slowly emptied out. And I was able to really embody it and like really embody it. Like I got to the point where I actually
love
felt
it and really love it.
Yeah, and love it as well, and enjoy it and find a lot of fulfillment in it, but also just become that, like really like awaken those aspects of the being. In a way that was really integrative and healing for me as a person. And I see the same sort of unfoldment and flowering take place in a lot of my students where, you know, I mean, it could be again like, you know, men, the masculine sort of principle is really entrenched in sort of guilt and shame for centuries of, you know, patriarchy. And there's a lot of like hesitation in men to fully embody that role of claiming the feminine and totally penetrating the feminine, actually, in that deeply honoring way. And so I feel like my part of my kind of how I've served as a teacher of this art form has been to help sort of help men align with that, or women who identify more with a leading role. And then also there have been many women who are so used to being in strong leadership roles in their work life, and they're just longing to relinquish that, just longing to be claimed and sort of, you know, and I've seen their struggle with that. You know, I've seen their struggle with the notion that following, which is, you know, not an appropriate word, we all know, struggling with the, sorry, I'm being interrupted. Struggling with the idea of following being in some way passive, in some way submissive, and you know, just the word sort of surrender brings up all these ideas of kind of giving up and sort of, so instead finding, you know, seeing women discover that it's a truly symbiotic relationship, and that it's truly empowering if it's within that honorary space, and that they can find incredible freedom there when they are truly in that space, like incredible freedom and empowerment.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's been a very deep journey to witness that, to be an instrument in the best way I can for that. And so it's a pleasure to get to speak to that. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Does anybody else sort of want to sort of speak to those, that part of themselves that needed to heal, or that needed to sort of, or even in your teachings that you see that part play out in your students? Yeah, go ahead, Sarah.
I mean, I have a slightly different perspective. I think, at least for me, the way that the path to sort of my brain and my emotional part and my psychological part and my feminine part, the way that kind of worked itself out was really through movement. So when we tend to work with people, we sort of don't address these psychological aspects of their behavior, but rather allow them to discover it themselves by making them move. Because when you start to move your body changing changes your neurology, and neurology changing changes your emotional state.
Yeah.
And sort of, you know, for us, the focus on leading and following has been more about communication rather than role. And so what we kind of talk about is how do we communicate better? How do we make sure that the communication is two-way? That if a leader can communicate, then the follower should also be able to communicate. Otherwise, it's a monologue, and who wants to be a part of that kind of a relationship, right? I mean, from student perspective, what was really interesting for us is that students' questions have made us make the most amazing discoveries, and the interaction with our students and this free flow of ideas and sort of communication, verbal communication, or their questions have sparked so many great things for us, and that was amazing. But like on this personal level, where I do feel like I'm comfortable being psychological or approaching it with psychology, for me, it was the relationship with having a partner for 15 years. And honestly, I have never had Ivan has been my only partner. Obviously, I social dance with other people, but in terms of like making a dance partnership. And
well, that's going to be another live. I've forgotten, like, I got to write all these other topics down around like, oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, it's super interesting because like, in the end, like our differences, I was so much more skilled than him in other areas of life. Like I'm older, I had a credit card, I had a bank account, I knew how to do, like, no, seriously, I mean, you were laughing, but
right? You met so young. You guys met.
Yeah, I mean, he was 19 when he was barely 20 when we got married. Yeah, it's like a totally different thing. And so he was so superior to me in dance because he was already a performer and a teacher from when he was 12 years old. And in our relationship, it was like there's a lot of struggle in our relationship.
Like, who owns the power?
Yeah, because I wouldn't let it go. I'm like, you're going to tell me, and he was like, but I've been doing this forever. And it was just like this thing. And it was really painful. It was really, really painful. And, but now I'm really glad that we went through it, because that conflict that we had, which actually a dance allowed for us, because if this conflict was in our relationship, it probably wouldn't survive. But the fact that it happened in tango allowed us to sort of work out life things.
The unconscious behaviors of,
yeah, in a completely different setting. And yeah, if we weren't so stubborn, we probably would have separated. But the realization of how great this was, and how tearing down of me that was, and how rebuilding of me that was, I'm forever grateful.
Yeah.
And yeah,
that's, I mean, tango will, if you are willing, to go, tango will take you to the depths of like your pain. Oh, yeah. And sure, you could mask over it, but it's so rewarding if you really just sort of open that raw space for a moment. And doing it with a partner is just at another level.
Yeah, because with a partner, you can, like on a milonga floor, you can't be like, stop teaching me.
Sure, you can. I mean, you can do that.
You can. That happens. But there's like a level to which you can communicate, or you can argue. Like most arguments on the dance floor end up with, I'm never dancing with this guy again. That's it. Like, I'm done. But with a partner, you have this opportunity to really verbalize what you want, and you have a chance to fight for it. And I think that's like, that has been like so revealing.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, I just jump in. That's so powerful what you said. I could like kind of imagine myself going off on that tangent of talking about that. But I would love to hear from you guys too, some of these other components, because it's so like, it's just our human like frailty that comes up, and it just gets masked as these crazy things, and anger and resentment. But please, I would just jump in.
Wow, I think tango is a great catalyzer. I mean, sometimes people say like, oh, in tango, it's so dangerous for the couples because they break up because of tango, or it's so for that, it's so bad for this, or so good for that. But for me, tango is just like the enhancer of everything. So if you want to like really go through something, like have a journey, have a development, or see a thing that you give up, like you'll find it in tango. Like if a couple starts, I just had recently an experience where like first thing, what I felt was a little bit of guilt. Oh fuck, they fought and split up because of me, but it was not. I mean, it was because of this situation. When they starting to take classes, realized this dynamic between them that was already there. That's like, the guy wasn't ready to accept that he had also some things to improve, and she wasn't able to accept that he always made her guilty for everything. So at the end, they made a course like of private lesson with me, and then they split up, and I was like, oh my God, but this happens because it opens up so many things.
It's the amplifier. It's just
Right.
amplifier.
Pandora box, right?
Oh my gosh. It's
Oh,
so
I want to say one thing, because I saw my dad watching live and I want to make this reference to him about how tango changed me when I was a teenager, or like 15, 17, whatever, like up until 20 even. I had this period of, heavy big boots and hippie kind of punk style. And my dad was always, Mila, I would so much like to see you, one day you will start wearing heels and, be feminine and everything. I'm like, never.
oh my gosh.
Somebody who knows me now, it's like such a transformation. And I think tango also is such a thing for people. I mean, there are a lot of deeper levels of you as a person, you growing as a spiritually, as a human, everything. But also on this like superficial or not superficial, just like being feminine, being man, and being woman, tango is a great tool, because I mean, you really, to dance well as a woman, you really need to be a woman and feel like it and feel attractive and feel seductive and everything. And for many people, tango does that. For me, it did. I mean,
yeah, I learned how to take up space in myself, in my body, and in like a physical space. I felt like, and that was really powerful as a woman. And I remember feeling that. Go ahead, Isha. Yeah.
Yeah, just wanting to speak to this topic about, this polarity we're talking about. But one of the most amazing things I discovered through tango, like, specifically this aspect of it, is that it's through the polarity that we actually
hold the charge.
Yes, but also, so if people often describe tango as, they use the yin yang symbol, that you've got one polar opposite symbiotically connected with the other, and then inside there's the dot, right? I feel like the dot only emerges because of the polarity. It was only when I really drop into and fully kind of take responsibility for that one aspect of the partnership that its sort of counter aspect can emerge within. You know what I mean? Which is why it's never, a monologue in the way that sort of Sarah pointed to, because it's only a monologue when you have the polarity without the emergence of the dot. Because, when the leader is fully claiming and fully witnessing and holding the feminine, that he or she is following completely, right? It's like, that's when both roles become truly like symbiotically one, rather than polarized. But it's through the polarity that it reaches that space. That has been my most extraordinary discovery through it.
That's so interesting. We hold these sort of paradoxes.
Yeah.
Olga, I would love to your
No, it's a very interesting discussion, because obviously this is probably one of the reasons why people would tune in to hear discussion between women. Like we got to the point that it's interesting for people to watch. So I would like to comment a little bit on this feminine, masculine, and polarity versus symbiosis between the people, the energies. I've never really had a partner in my whole life. I've had like a little bit of partnership here, a little bit of partnership there, but most of the time it's been me, trying to develop and then trying to match to somebody to see if we can, find a way to work together. And then it usually doesn't really work. The reason being, it is very interesting internal search. And I'm sure some of you might find it, have had similar experiences. I've been, all my life has been kind of like a struggle to become the power woman. I want to be like standing strong, and I want to be independent. I want to be powerful. I want to know what I'm standing for. And by now, by the age of whatever, 30 something, yeah, I know where I'm standing. And unfortunately, the traditional way of thinking about tango does not accept a woman who knows what she's standing for and who is like,
who said that?
No, but like when I talk to people, and some of the students sometimes also ask, but yeah, I feel like I should I should be a nice girl. Like, you can't be a nice girl if you're a powerhouse. Like, how can you be a nice girl if you don't accept it, if you don't allow it? So it's always about this this internal struggle also within us, and definitely within me. So I don't know how it is for the other people, and I'm assuming it's similar for some of us.
Well, you managed to stay married, you know, like I can I can say that my choice is no partner is working for my whole life in other areas as well.
Oh, it's been very difficult, and it's never easy, but it's like beside the marriage, it's this the symbiosis with a male energy that accepts that the woman can be strong and powerful. That is so difficult to find, and especially if you don't develop from the beginning, like Sarah was talking about, Sarah and Ivan. It's if you try to do it after whatever 12 years of dancing, after millions of life experiences, good and bad, and you're like, okay, here I am, please accept me, let's try to find a way to do it together. It's like, whew, okay, good luck with that.
It's like starting living with somebody when you lived alone for 40 years. It's like, no fucking way. I have my ways and I'm not gonna accept anybody else's shit.
Right. It's interesting.
So I think,
go ahead, please continue.
Yeah, so I think a really interesting way of really interesting thing to discover for all of us is, it's something that I started the search, where my whole search started really a couple of years ago. How do I feel like how do I allow myself to feel like a woman, maintaining my own presence? Where's the border? It's like, it's a very fine line where I don't become like too much and I don't lose myself. So at the same time, I have this nice combination of, I don't know, yin and yang, right? in the power, in the submission as well. So it's one of those things that we all need to go through, men and women.
Yeah, and it's so true. And I think, like, to Mila's point, or anybody that sort of maybe works alone, maybe they've made the decision, like, you know what, I'm better working alone, because at least I have the creative control, and I know I can rely on myself to be this teacher, to do this, to do that. And the partnership is where the struggle happens. It's like, when we work alone, we're fucking great. You know, it's like when we're single in our romantic life, like, we're fucking great. But when you come into partnership, they're designed to sort of erupt and amplify, like we've all said, these.
Well, it's always the choice. Has to be a choice from both sides to, like, you know, to always choose the partnership instead of your own truth, you know, and not everybody wants to do that.
Mila, that's
is motivated to do
it's like,
that.
am I going to be an individual in this relationship? Or are we going to be doing?
Yeah, are we a couple, or we're not, or we're just two individuals who gonna clash every moment that we are not agreeing. So yeah, well, that's in life the same. It's like for so many years I've been like, oh, I cannot find a partner, or oh, I don't find a man with who I can be like for. But then the more I go on, the more I realize it's my choice. It's like, it's not that I can't, it's maybe I don't want to, or maybe I'm just like, you know, I feel better this way. And then I'm starting to accept that. And maybe it's like, I don't know if it's going to change, but this is an honest thing to ask yourself, like, why you're alone. It's like, it's because you don't find anybody, no, because you're choosing to, because it's working better for you at the moment.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know. I'm bringing it back a little bit to the whole idea of the masculine and the feminine. I've always struggled. I've always refused to I never wanted to be a sexy dancer. I know that sounds a little bit strange.
But you
when
are.
I was younger, but it's not. How do you say that? It's not a something that I'm seeking. My idea of feminine is an Amazon, you know, with her left breast cut off.
Amazon, that's sexy. Come on.
You know, on a horse with an arrow, like, just, you know, sowing destruction all over the place.
Some men like it. Come on, Sarah. Who said it's not sexy?
But it's not I think oftentimes there is a lot of, you know, you see it in like tango clothes, you see it in the tango shoes. There's a sort of a push to a particular type of feminine.
Wow, sure.
And
enough, girl.
And the older I get, the older I am, you know, when I started performing like in 2006 or something like that, 2005, I was making my own clothes, and I was wearing basically ballroom dresses, which were like nipple covers with like a little patch for the, you know, for the front. And I mean, it was terrible. Like, I was half naked, and I see these pictures now, And I can't imagine myself, now if I'm not completely covered, if I'm not wearing pants or a big coat or something, I feel that's where my power is. And it's really difficult to talk about feminine and masculine. And I think, Chrissy, we had a conversation about this not long ago. I really feel like I'm missing a female ritual for myself. But I don't find that femininity and as a dancer in tango. I don't know. It's a very tricky thing for me.
That's really beautiful, Sarah. Thank you for that, for sharing that so honestly and heartfelt. I really feel it.
I mean, it's really the truth. Yeah.
And I really honor you actually as a really beautiful woman and powerful. And I feel like you really fully empower embody what you're describing.
Well, thank you. Trying to be honest.
It's so interesting because this could
I know, I want to cry now. I was so touched. I was so touched by your honesty just then, Sarah, really deeply, because the face of the feminine is infinite, right?
Yeah, and it brings up the idea around what's beautiful, what's desirable, and to who, and especially in tango where the currency is young and hot, that will get you a lot. As you start to age in tango, you're like, oh, fuck, what do I have to offer? And you better, for me, I'm like, okay, I figured it out. I can be magnetic no matter my age. That was a crucial thing for me to come to terms with when I started dancing tango. It was 25 or 26. And I was I was this little tango baby. And what came up for me, what was confronting for me was I realized I wanted to be the youngest, prettiest, best dancer in the room. And when I wasn't, I felt it was I was affected by it. So I really had to dig deep to really push through that narrative around what it meant to me to be a woman and what it meant to me to be desirable. The external force was making me look as if I wasn't enough. And then really reframing that, no, I am enough. It doesn't matter that I'm not 25 anymore. I'm not the prettiest woman in the room, or I have a magnetic power on my own because I own all of this now. And I know it's powerful beyond the construct of the looks.
Here's to turning 40.
I know.
Well, I love being 40 plus, I think I'm the best version of myself. I don't want to be 25 again. Oh gosh.
The body's still working.
And Marina, I would love for you to chime in and sort of in whatever sort of context. I know you've been observing a lot, but this is the confronting behavior of tango. And I'd love to hear what you have to say.
I do like to observe, and I feel that I would like my English to be even better, because sometimes I feel that I don't have the right words to express what I would like to say about this. To be really honest, I don't feel connected with any question or topic around what is feminine or masculine. I don't have that. I don't feel connected, and I really respect where these things come out, because I respect everybody's journey, right? Just find the process or the circumstances or the community that shows you exactly what you need to go through, right? I don't feel connected with the things, and at some point I love to hear you, because I was wondering what all that means for me, because I'm a dancer. I've been performing for a lot of years. I've been teaching. I accept myself that I don't like to wear dresses all the time. I hate my high heels. I don't feel comfortable in them anymore.
Yeah, can we just all admit that high heels really fucking hurt?
No, I love them.
The more I wear no shoes, the more I hate shoes. So and it took me a while to accept that actually those were the shoot that I was talking before about it. I just cleaned myself from all those shoots that were around what is to be a good dancer, what is to be a good teacher. Now that this is the part that I love to be part of it, right? I love to teach. I love to transmit what was my experience. And so what I found, it's like the whole journey, of course, we choose the journey inside of the tango community, and because we felt connected with, I don't know why, but for all of us was pretty much the same, right? But in every other community, you will have the same issues. You have the same opportunities just to allow yourself to be more and more you, right? The more the time passes, the more you realize that this is about allowing yourself to be. And I feel that the more I allow myself to be, I become the more feminine and also the more masculine somehow, because I found that I have the power enough to show myself, just to talk and not be so shy, or whatever my body and my mind and my spirit has to go through. I just realized about that because I just stopped myself of trying to fit.
Exactly. Wow. I love what you say, Marina, because, I think attractiveness is not about feminine, masculine, it's accepting. Charisma is not, it's genderless, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't feel connected with the gender thing. Thank you for the word, because that was the right word. I just feel that that's why for many women to be a leader inside of the tango community has been like a whole journey, right? Like a really, really challenge, or the other way around, just to be the follower that you would like to be. It could be your journey, right? And I don't know, that's how I feel. So I don't know if I'm gonna look more feminine or masculine at the end, but I know that the more I clean my mind and my body about what I should do, the more me I can just become, right? And I'm not sure if this is feminine or masculine, and
I don't think it matters at all.
Maybe I don't need to put that
you don't need to label it.
Right.
Yeah, that was the word.
I
maybe better to not have the label, right?
Yeah, Olga, I'll let you speak. I just want to say one quick thing. I think for all of us, it's not to like come back to a version of what is societally masculine or feminine, but to come back to our version of who we are. It's certain like rewilding, like clicking like the restart button, like back to our factory settings and who we were before. And I really understand that idea of like just that rewild, like taking all of that away. If you don't like the high heels, if you do like the high heels, if you love the dresses, if they like sort of ignite you, if you'd rather wear pants, like it's really about that coming back to that like essential part that wants to be expressed. And that I love this dialogue, and I love questioning the already preconceived notions of how we were, what is masculine and feminine, and like breaking them and then deciding, because tango can really hold some of those lines in strange ways. Olga, yeah, please.
Yeah, it's like if we take it more towards beyond the dresses and feminine and masculine, you see it a lot in the movement, in the way that people are. I would love to see, I feel like everyone in this conversation is very authentic and honest. So like Sarah is saying, I just don't like dresses. I'm much more comfortable with covering and wearing a coat. And Marina is saying, well, I don't like high heels. I feel like I'm a pure athlete. I would like, dance from the athletic side. So it's really nice to see that, when you are, how do you become a leader? How do you become more interesting is when you actually accept who you are. But first of all, to accept who you are, you kind of need to discover who you are. That's to start with. Then you need to accept and allow yourself to be, you have to be authentic. What I see a lot is that, unfortunately, there's a lot of people who are maybe lost, maybe not, they're not even trying. Like, I think they might be lost in terms of where they are, who they are in their journey. And you see a lot of copying. You see a lot of people who just, they just suddenly, they saw somewhere that this is the skirt that they have to wear, and this is the decorations they have to do. And this is the way they have to like look sexy, and the makeup, or I don't know what. It's like, it kind of goes through everything. It's a very, very, it's a
there are
big
a lot
phenomenon.
of stereotypes, and there are a lot of stereotypes and pressure for that.
Yeah. But unfortunately, people just, I think a lot of us, and I'm not excluding myself, I definitely have to fight with it all the time. I have to fight with the fact that, oh, I can't put my leg up here. I mean, how can I not do it? I'm supposed to be a professional dancer. I should have my leg up here. I think it's just, you can see that it puts a lot of pressure, and it obviously also distracts us from trying to find who we are. We are only attractive when we are ourselves. We are feminine, sexy, beautiful, attractive, and powerful when we are allowing ourselves to be who we are. If we are internally shy, and we are internally, we like to, I don't know, sit in the corner, we have to accept it and allow it to happen. We can't just say, oh, well, this is not in fashion. So in fashion is doing like 30 little decorations per second. So maybe I should have a go and try to do that, and that will make me more beautiful. So I think just for all of us and all the dancers, maybe this time, this pandemic is a chance to really think who we are and just discover what is important for us, because that will make us more interesting in the long run.
Well, as teachers probably as well. One of our tasks is to bring, to pull out of people the what, or to direct them towards that, instead of giving them what's the right thing.
That's so true, Mila. Yeah, I feel like,
but this is hard because it's not so.
No. I mean, I'm always telling my students, tango reinvents itself in every body. I say this to people with different physical limitations, or but I had forgotten about that for myself. And I thank you all for reminding me, like what you spoke to, Olga, is so important, that it is going to be our version of it, and that when we fully accept that and love it ourselves, then it will touch other people.
I love that. Go ahead,
guys. What's the time?
I know.
I feel this can last forever.
I know. I have like one more thing. Marina, did you want to say something? It's 1:30, a little past 1:30.
No, I just stuck with this word that Olga was saying. That it's to copy, right? And I think this is a really nice conversation, especially if you are at somehow in the tango world, the community you choose, you are teaching or you are organizing, or these are the real questions, just to really allow the people to have their own space, right? Because the same way we really need to allow ourselves to be, how we help other people to find a place where they can really be what they need. And sometimes to copy, it could be a good thing for a while, because sometimes it is because you feel inspired for someone.
Well, that's a different thing, right?
I think it's a fake it till you make it as well.
Right. But that brings me to my painful subject of championets. What do you think about that? That's so much for directing people to copy. I mean, when it started, this was the thing that I was saying and fighting against. Oh my God, now everybody's going to be the same. And
what is it? What was it?
The Champions, the Mondial. This year finally is not happening. Sorry, me for saying.
You really hate it.
Marina picked up an amazing point. And I guess sort of after we have this one last conversation, then we should probably wrap up. But the idea of copying and mimicry is a very valid form of learning, because this is how we teach people how to dance, or this is how we kind of learn even as children, and how we do things is we sort of mimic what everyone's doing. Now, it doesn't really mean anything in that moment. It's sort of like a level 1 of learning, which is like, I copied, but I didn't feel, or I didn't inhabit anything. And a lot of people, I think, get stuck there, and it can be copying a look, it can be copying movements, it can be copying a hairstyle, or wiggling your ass in a certain way. And then it's just sort of empty. It's just not really, it's like eating candy. It's just has no like nutritional value, but people kind of get stuck in that sort of that visual of something. And then our requirements as teachers or as people that teach is to get people to feel that there's a layer beneath that and beneath that they need to develop. And that's where the real work happens. And it's kind of just observing that as an idea.
Exactly, seeing it as a tool and not as a goal. This is
But this is a task for us teachers to say, okay, this is what you can do, and that is what you can do, and this is how you dress. You could dress, or that is how you could dress. But then to actually, it's our task to actually encourage people to say, this is the options you choose. You might pick a whole new route by combining a little bit of everything. That might be the best way, but we have to say that to people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, with our own example, I think we kind of do, right? That's what we choose to be as well.
Yeah. Sarah, you have any thoughts on that? Sarah, you're just
really?
Like, you don't have any thoughts. You're fine.
No, I just think copying comes from making the form more important than the internal work, which is the substance of movement. So as soon as you divorce dance from the internal work of movement, then you get copying. And unfortunately, there's in general not enough understanding about movement in the tango community of teachers, because most people don't actually know much about movement. They just at some point did something cool and somebody said, whoa, will you show me how you do that? And that's how the didactic tradition in tango started. So happily now we have more and more people who are interested in movement, which is underneath the form. And so I think that's getting better. But yeah, I think the desire to be the most desirable girl or boy on the dance floor can wreak havoc with people's habits, whether it's dress habits or movement habits or whatever.
Right. Ladies, any parting thoughts before we maybe wrap up? I would love to talk to you guys forever.
Yeah, this
do it again.
Parting thought is like, when do you do it again?
I love you all. I have to seriously sign off right now. I'm getting kicked out. I'm so sorry.
All right.
I'm sending all of you many kisses. Chrissy, thank you so much for organizing this. Ladies, it's been a deep pleasure. I will think about this conversation, and for sure I will.
And Sarah, if you want to tell people where they can help sponsor your tango.
Oh yeah, we're doing this GoFundMe. So if you want to help us build our barn, and then you can come and hang out in it.
Which country is the barn?
It's in Croatia. It's in Croatia. It's very close to you, Mila. So no problem. Europe, Europe.
Post the link in the comments, or we'll find a way.
Yeah, all of you are welcome, but it's on my Facebook page, so I will post in the conversation. Thank you so much for this opportunity. It's been awesome.
Yeah. Bye, Sarah.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, Sarah.
Bye-bye.
So just kind of like wrapping up, I really adore conversing with all of you. It seemed like six worked well. This is a great trial run. And I just really value all of your opinion around and your experiences, because that's really what is valid. I in the future, I'd love to also involve people that haven't been dancing very long and have them express their perspectives on tango, because I find that that's all their experience is valid. They may not have as much experience inside of tango, but what they are experiencing is valid. And it's nice to hear people from a younger student, an inexperienced student, to people that are teachers, kind of navigating the worlds together. It would be really interesting to do that. So thank you. So I'd love to sort of wrap up and have everyone sort of talk about what they're up to, how people can support you. You can write or sort of say that right now. Olga, how about you? Do you have a way of for people to get in touch with you or connect?
Yes, I'm just posting. I'm highly active online, so I'm posting a lot of stuff on my page. So people are very welcome to friend me, follow me, because if they want to feel just to see how other people are training, what it means to train, because oftentimes you see professionals just suddenly popping up with an amazing result. I'm trying to show the way to get there, because I'm on this way. So if anyone is interested in what the work actually entails, this is what I'm doing. So you can kind of observe and maybe get involved as well.
Yeah.
And I'm also very welcoming people. I'm about to pass my, fingers crossed, pass my animal flow instructor exam. So I will be giving animal flow classes soon.
That looks
So
so
it's really fun. And it's basically a movement study that connects very deeply the really powerful movement and the feeling of strength that you get from it, together with the mind, plus like, okay, coordination, balance, and everything. So it's like everything in one.
What's it called?
Animal flow.
Huh.
It's like, Google it. It's pretty amazing. So I'm going to be offering classes sometime soon. So hopefully see more people getting involved. I find it really beneficial for all the dancers. And I'm also doing private classes like online. That's basically, if anyone's interested.
great. Awesome. Thank you so much. Marina, how can people get in touch with you, or what are you offering these days?
Well, I've been training animal flow for a while too, so I just want to say it's an amazing way of movement, and you can find easily how to relate that with what you need in tango sometimes. So it's really fun to do at home, and it's something that you do alone. So I will recommend your classes, Olga, and I would love to join you. Well, what I'm doing right now, what I'm running right now at this moment is a program for tango, yoga for tango dancers, let's say. This is what I'm working the most right now. I've been teaching technique and body awareness for a lot of time right now. This is the point of the dance that I feel more attracted to. And coming back to this thing about the shape, the form, or the process of the movement, I realized that yoga has helped me a lot to find my own presence inside of my body through the movement, right? So what I create right now, because I cannot go anywhere, is this program to share what yoga has meant for me and my tango dancing. And also doing online sessions, and I have other things besides tango, but it's also for tango people who wants to join. I've been doing kind of retreats. I'm going to share a small retreat of 2 hours that it's more into spirituality and maybe life design, if you want to call it some way. It is not related to any other thing. Just take your time for you. I'm doing a lot of yoga exercise and just sharing maybe breathing exercises, just different ways to reconnect with yourself, your body, and find easy and useful tools during the day that will just allow you to be more connected with yourself.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Chrissy, I have to leave, so do you want me to go next?
Yeah.
Sorry, ladies. Chrissy, I just want to first say you did a wonderful job of facilitating this. You hold space so beautifully, and I really appreciate the container you created and who you are. So I'm teaching a class once a week with 2 or 3 colleagues of mine, Masha Abapolnikova and my dance partner, Gabriel. He goes by El Huracan. I always say his last name wrong. It's French. It's like Gourmand or something. He'll slap me for that. So every Tuesday we teach an online drills class at 7 o'clock. We've just started a new school. We just bought our LLC. It's called Fabrica Tango Academy. Fabrica is F as in Frank, A-B-R-I-C-A. And the website's fabricatangoacademy.com. And that's it, really. Just, stay in touch. You can find me on Facebook if you need me.
Amazing.
Thank you, Chrissy. Thank you, ladies. I honor you all.
Thank you. And Mila, how can people get in touch with you?
Well, I post everything on my a Facebook profile, and on my page, I have several projects running now besides the private lessons offer, where I work mostly on technique, like walking, posture, everything like very deep. Then I have a group on technique, like an intensive technique course of 8 classes. So now one is going and the next one is starting like in 10 days. So now people can sign up. Plus I'm having this like, free tip of the week thing. So you just see it on my page. And I'm doing the live sola practice on Wednesdays, which is also free, just like me practicing one aspect to one particular like tango piece. Like last time I did valsa and bolero. So just like dancing alone and giving little tips of what you can do to dance alone and enjoy and develop in this way.
Nice.
Well, thank you, Christina. It was really, really nice just to see you all and to talk and everything.
So I'll have you guys just stay on for one more minute while I just sort of wrap up. Thank you guys so much for watching. We had a lot of live watchers. I'll go back through the comments and read them, and please leave any questions that you want to ask for or topics for the next one. We'll see who else would like to contribute and weigh in. And I'd love to do this much more often. I think it's so valuable. I really appreciate all you guys for doing this. And we'll see you guys soon. You guys can just stay on for 1 second, and bye everybody.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you. It's wonderful.